So a very warm welcome to all the guys who has already joined our webinar today. We'll just do a short check and we'll wait maybe one or two more minutes because I can see there aren't too many people inside here so far. Maybe one of you can just shortly write into the Q&A tool if you can understand me well, if the sound is okay, and also if you have some video which is transferred to you. Yes, no problem with sound. Rice, thanks. Thanks for sharing that with me, really helpful, so that we also already know the Q&A is working and we're also looking into the chat. All okay on this side. Thank you, Steve, for the check. Okay, so let me just check one more. So we have a lot of more guys who registered for today, but I think they can also come time by time. So we will just start for today. So again, a very warm welcome from my side to the GREENROCK Webinar Installation and Commissioning. My name is Wolfgang Burgstaller. I'm the lead of product management and customer support. And yeah, I will be your guide for the next 1 hour. So looking forward to doing the webinar. If you have some questions related to the product from the technical side, please just ask them into the Q&A tool so that also the other people or the other viewers can see the question, and I will then give my answer maybe directly or at the end of each topics. So we have different stories today, and I will try to answer all of your questions maybe immediately or in the role or in the part of the presentation. So just a short reminder. I think nearly all of you have also visited the first webinar, GREENROCK webinar from my colleague Thomas Kraus, who has done the sales and the general part. And today we will dig deeper into the technical stuff, but just as a short reminder, or that you hear it just a second time to save it inside the brain. We speak about saltwater batteries today. Saltwater batteries are sealed energy storage systems based on a saltwater electrolyte. So it's not like only an electrolyte tank. You have a lot of materials like in different phases above each other. And then you have electrolyte which sits inside the cell as well, and is ensuring the ion flow from anode to cathode and from cathode to anode. Inside these materials, there is non-toxic materials used, or nor are they flammable or explosive. So I've even created my own cell at the first developer of the technology when I visited them without any gloves, and you can see my hands are also still here. So I can really say this is totally safe and non-toxic. Especially the safe is a real high priority for BlueSky Energy. So really safe is one of the main focuses we have with the saltwater, with the GREENROCK battery. It's maintenance free, and we do not need any active BMS. So we have a so-called equalizer installed from now on, but it is not needed to keep the cells in a specific voltage value. It's just for performance purposes. So the cell can more or less be discharged to 0 volts each cycle without any problem. I mean, it's not really helpful all the time because below like 5 volts, you do not have any energy left in the cell itself, but it can be done if needed. So as spoken, the stack you see here on the right bottom side. So this is the GREENROCK battery stack. This is basically just a 48 volt battery. Maybe you can compare it with lead acid batteries, so 48 volts. But inside the materials which are used are completely different. So we have, as anode, we have carbon titanium phosphate. As a cathode, we have manganese oxide. And to keep them away from each other, we have a synthetic separator. And then we have a stainless steel current collector, which ensures the current flow. And into this material, so into this case, there also sits this pH neutral salt water electrolyte. So it's water mixed with a lot of sodium ions and a few more salts. So this stack can then be used first in like just 48 volt systems, so which we call GreenRock Stack plus Combinerbox. So the Combinerbox is, you can compare it with a plus and minus copper bus bar. So inside the Combinerbox, which you can see here, you can connect up to 12 of these battery stacks. So one stack at 48 volts and all the others are connected in parallel to each other. And also inside the box, you can see it here in the middle. I hope you can see my mouse. You can see the connections for the inverters. For example, if you want to use your own inverters, 48 volts, most of the time you can use them. Special thing is you have to adjust the charge curve. That's really important. There's also an instruction and manual, which you can download from our partner portal. So this is really important if you do such things. One stack, maybe to also get this data, has 2.5 kilowatt hours on capacity, or about 54 amp hours on capacity. Power, or the current, so the power is 0.5 kilowatt hour per stack and about 10 amps in current. So that means, for example, when we have 4 stacks, when you use 4 GreenRock saltwater stacks, you reach nearly 10 kilowatt hours and can get power inside, so charge and discharge up to 2 kilowatts. So in here you just see an example how the stacks can also be placed. So you can just place them in one line or 2 times 2, and then just place this combiner box on top. And inside this combiner box, we also have an own SOC algorithm running, and also toolless battery connections. So you can just see here the open box. These are the battery connections, all the minus connections here, all the plus connections. All the plus connections are fused, so with a 20 amp fuse. And here we see the inverter connection. So you can connect up to 6 inverters basically to this box, or you can, if you use, I don't know if you have an experience with a Victron, you can connect up to 3 inverters and 3 DC smart solar chargers. Yeah, and for example, when you then use like 12 pieces of the stack, because that's the maximum you can connect in one combiner box, so this is really just an 10 and 48 volt battery system, you reach nearly 30 kilowatt hours at the power of 6 kilowatt charging and discharging. So that's also always the scale when you use saltwater. So 5 to 1 is the scale from capacity to power. So 5 kilowatt hours means 1 kilowatt power discharging charging. 10 kilowatt hour means 2 kilowatt charging discharging, or 15 kilowatt hours capacity would mean 3 kilowatts on power. So this is possible with the stack. So you see, you can just place them on the ground. You can place also the box on top of the stacks, or you can just place the box on the wall and do the plus and minus cabling, and that's it. Or what you can also get from a GreenRock system is an all-in-one system. So we do not only sell stacks itself with this combiner box, we also sell an all-in-one system. So all the needed electronics, for example, like a battery inverter, 48 volts to 230, for example, are placed inside a housing and pre-configured housing. So all of the things are mounted already inside our company. All of the devices are tested. They are set up according to your order. And you just get one all-in-one system where you only have to do the AC connection, an energy meter connection, and some small configuration stuff. So on the left side, you can see this system in a housing. More or less, housing, this is not needed because all of the things inside here are already touch safe. So you don't need an additional protection. This is really just an optical option. So if the customer wants to have this look, he can order here the covers on the bottom, the covers on the top. So of the connection box, of the power box, are always integrated. So when you order a one home system, you get these box on the top with the stacks with these covers, and the covers on the bottom are some option if the customer would like to have it. So and also here in the GreenRock Home series, we have the same scale sizes. So we start with 2.5 kilowatt hours, and 0.5 kilowatts on power, and that's our scale factor. So with 2 stacks, we have 5 kilowatt hours and 1 kilowatt. With 10 stacks, we have 25 kilowatt hours on energy and about 5 kilowatts on power. And that's also the configuration or the scaling points with the GreenRock Home system. We'll just start a bit more information about the conditions. Please always install the GreenRock inside. It's really only an indoor use system. Storing an operating temperature is starting from about 5 degrees to plus 50. I mean, it's not the best case for the system to be at this maximum or minimum values. So the best temperature for the battery is at around 20 to 25 degrees. That's where the whole system and also the battery stack itself show their best performance and capacity. Here just an information that there is some neutral air exchange available where we install the system so that it is not a complete air-locked container. Please just place it in a standard room like you see here in my office. There we always gonna ensure this small exchange of the air. It's just needed in case the stacks gets overcharged for hours and pursued to be overcharged, so forced to be overcharged. Because if there could happen that some CO gets out of the cell of the overcharge, and that you do not get too high quantity of the CO. You just want to ensure a small air exchange all the time. So during installation of GreenRock Home, please always be aware of the size and weight of one stack, because one stack, which you can also see here on my back, weighs about 140 kilograms. So I weighted it, so I lifted it up on myself, sure. No, so this is a dummy, luckily, but in case you install a system, please always be aware of the weight of one stack, which is 140 kilograms. And this is also the smallest product you can get right now. So it's not possible to place the stack module by module. It's always the whole stack, because the bottom and the top layers are, let's say, pressed together. And after the pressing, they get their initial charge. So that's really important. Please never remove some screws or whatever on the stack, because they're really pushed together to ensure a good connection inside the cell. Good, so when you install a GreenRock Business, so GreenRock Business is a bigger system than the Home. We will come to that in the next foils, the next slides. Please be more aware of the size and the weight of this big system, just to ensure you have the correct transportation tools available on site. So the GreenRock Home, just a short talk about this again, starts one phase from 5 goes up to 15 kilowatt hour of capacity, and 3 phase it's available from 7.5 to 30 kilowatt hours. The standard function is always grid parallel as a self-function optimization, and in every system is included an emergency and island off-grid function. So it's an optional function which you can use but not have to. You can, but you don't have to. And this function for us tells that the system has the ability to build or maintain their own grid, so a small grid, without an external grid support or frequency support. Even a grid disconnection point is integrated inside the system, which is conform to all the Middle Europe standards, or let's say all the European standards, and even a few more worldwide, so Australia, for example, or what else I can remember. I think there's also a special one for South Africa, and also the grid disconnection is also certified, for example, for South Africa. For the South African grid, that's always important. So you can also have different options on the GreenRock home system, so like a DC coupling, which we're gonna go through a bit later. The battery covers, we already spoke about that, so it's optional that you get this housing on the bottom of the stacks when you use a GreenRock home. You can connect generators in island systems as well, so that also you can charge the batteries, for example, with an additional generator. And you also have different options of integrating, for example, heating elements with the GreenRock EMS, so the energy management system, which is always part of a GreenRock home and a GreenRock system, business system, but not part of a GreenRock stack and Combinerbox system. So EMS is only included in home and in business, and not included in a GreenRock standalone stack with or without Combinerbox. So please always be aware of that. So you can also integrate a heat pump via the SG ready signal. So this is really a common signal in the middle of Europe. You can communicate and control also a few e-car stations. So if you have an e-car and you want to control the station, the charging station, really in an intelligent way, you can do it also via the EMS, so that you only use, for example, the exceed power, which would go into the grid, will be used for the e-cars. And you can even control your own defined loads via smart plugs. So there you can set a value when the smart plug should get active and how long it should stay active. So this is usually used, for example, for the dishwasher or the washing machine, because there you usually know how long it should run and how much power it needs. So you just fill in all the data and the system is switching on themselves. So the GreenRock home system, as I already spoke, has a grid disconnection switch integrated inside the battery inverter. But please always clarify first if the grid owner, the grid operator is accepting this certification or not. Usually he should do, but just our recommendation, please first get in contact with him, say, okay, here I have this system, I have the certification, please approve it. So the battery inverter which we use inside our GreenRock home system is a Victron Multiplus 2 3K. This is a one-phase system or device with a 2.4 kilowatt hours maximum discharge power. And in three-phase GreenRock home systems, we use 3 times this device and connect them via the neutral wire. But then we really have a 3-phase system. So really common in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, maybe not for you, but 3-phase are really, really common here. And that's how we realize it. Just a few more words about the GreenRock EMS, which is included inside a GreenRock home and a GreenRock business system. The GreenRock EMS is doing the whole visualization and data evaluation of a GreenRock system. So it can be accessed online via a portal, or you can also access directly the system via a web interface. So everywhere from around the world, if the system is online, you can connect to it and see what it is doing right now, or you can connect to the portal to see what has my system done last year on the 5th of December at 12 o'clock and 5. So what you can also do inside the EMS, you can add PV inverters to the visualization, so that the EMS is not only showing the battery thing, but also showing the PV generation. Or you can also add different other power generations, like a water generator, or an combined heat and power element. So the first, maybe a bit more important or interesting option is the so-called DC coupling. So this GreenRock Home system is in a standard way only an AC-DC, DC-AC battery system. So it cannot connect PV panels. For photovoltaic solar panels, it can only connect AC and will move it to DC for the battery, and then will transfer it back to AC, but no PV. But you can add this DC charger or the PV-DC coupling, because there you see you have PV connections available. And with this additional device, which is optional available, you can just increase your or add your system, make your system to a hybrid system. So you can connect PV panels, you can connect the battery, and you have the AC power for the connection. Which is a few important things. The DC-AC transferring or conversion is done from the battery inverter in this case. So if you do a DC connections of your solar panels, the battery inverter, which has single phase 2.4 kilowatt hours, is doing the DC to AC transferring. Really important also is that right now this DC-DC chargers are only available with an input voltage of 250 volts. So if you're maybe used to like SMA inverters, where you have string voltages up to 1000 volts, it's a bit a different case in here. So the maximum DC voltage is 250 volts. So you cannot connect all the solar panels in serial. You also have to make a few parallel strings with this option. I can already tell you something about the future. So should be available by beginning of next year. There will be the first DC-DC chargers from Victron with 450 volts input voltage. Sure, we'll also add that into our technical documentation, but just to give you a first idea what will be done in the future. So don't be scared, we won't go through every point here from the technical data sheet. This is just an information for you. Please, before installing anything or providing something for the customer, take a short look into the technical data sheet. We have all of them available on our partner portal. If you do not have access to your partner portal already, please get in touch with our international sales team. So with Thomas Kraus or with Brigitte Ritzer, or if you are part from Benelux or somewhere there, we also have a team there which is doing direct support and also which is providing information for France, for example. Or if you are not sure who is your responsible sales contact person, just send us an email on sales@bluesky-energy.eu for all the sales stuff. Or if you have technical questions, please send them to support@bluesky-energy.eu. So this really just see as an information. If you do any preparations or scaling for a customer, please always take care of the technical data sheet. So we just jump through it, a lot of information inside here. And then we finally get to the GreenRock Business System. So you see, we don't use the stack size here anymore. We dare use a whole pallet with 12 of each stack placed already on one. So you can also scale them or place them above of each other. So for example, this would mean we have here 60 kilowatt hours in capacity and 12 kilowatt on power. And in this case, we do not place the power box on top. We place the power box just in an additional case, right next to the modules. And inside there, we again have a battery inverter. We have some easy done screw-free connections for the battery. We have a GreenRock EMS again placed inside. And they're really easy to install AC in and AC out connections. So the business system is available from 30 to 270 kilowatt hours, so really already a bigger system, but the function is completely the same like with the home system. Again, here we have a really detailed data sheet. Please take a look inside. And sorry, don't be scared. It's available in English language, for example, and also in a few more. So also France language should already be available now. I only have German in this presentation, but in our yeah, in our partner portal, you also see the English or different languages versions. I just see a question that if we have, do you have some real example photos of a system using the PV-DC coupling? So unfortunately, I do not have them inside the presentation, but yeah, there are a lot of installations done with DC coupling. So maybe you can just ask for them at your sales contact person so that they can maybe provide you with some photos, or yeah, please also just ask for me that I can share a few pictures. Or maybe if you would have some time left, I would also can show some pictures if I find them. But I would recommend to do that after the webinar. All right, so we'll just jump through this part here. We already seen that. Any more questions so far on the basic side? So I don't see questions right now. We will come to it later if needed. So don't be scared that your questions will not be seen. Okay, so I think you know how a GreenRock home is more or less designed. The idea of the system is that no energy from a PV system goes into the grid, but all of the energy is stored inside the battery. And if energy would come from the grid, the battery is starting to discharge. So that's the main focus or the main purpose of a GreenRock home system. Also, emergency power or backup off-grid is available. And so we will just start with a few examples of how an installation can look like. So this should show now an installation, for example, in Germany, Austria, Italy, or wherever you have three-phase. So this should display three phases. You have a neutral wire and you have a ground wire, so a PE on the bottom. And installed here, so this is the grid income, or the grid income connection. And here on the right, you see a PV inverter already installed. Fronius, SolarEdge, SMA, Costal, Kako, whatever you like to use. So it can be any inverter brand. And also inside here, you have connected a few loads. So which would mean if you have a generation value of like 5 kilowatts and you only use 2 kilowatts on your loads, 3 kilowatts will go into the grid. So that's the thing when the GreenRock or battery system will jump in. Just that you see how the schematic can look like. This could be like done like here. And we have different certification for this grid, this connection point. So if you have a special one, please just ask for it or refer to a special language or to a different one. So here we just placed our GreenRock system. So which means if we now have again 5 kilowatts coming from the PV, we only use 2 kilowatts. We will send 3 kilowatts to this line and would go into direction of the grid. But what you can see here is an additional energy meter. This is always provided with the system. So with the GreenRock system also comes an energy meter, which is connected to the controlling, so to the energy management system. And as soon this energy meter is sending some data, the battery is charging or discharging. So in this case, it would just charge with 3 kilowatts so that this point stays at 0. So which means no energy is going into the grid or is coming from the grid. So that's the main purpose. What you can also already see here is the backup connection. So inside the system, there is an AC in connection and an AC out connection. AC in is a bidirectional charge and discharge connection point, but also the AC out is. But the thing is, as soon as you have a grid loss or a grid failure, the system will actively disconnect from the grid, which you can see here with this red power switches, but the AC out stays active or gets active again within 20 milliseconds. So if you have then loads connected to this connection, they will stay active. But please always be aware of the maximum discharge values of a system so that you ensure that the loads can run, stay active, and have not too much power to exceed the discharge power of the system. And what you can see here, so this would just be an additional switch if you have some special loads connected here, and the Victron inverters has an error or a failure. Because in case of an error or a failure, the AC output is not powered anymore. So that's what the switch is for, that you're able to switch back these loads to the grid in case of a system failure. So this is really just an option which we recommend. It's not directly needed, but it's really a recommendation in case of a system failure that you can switch back all these loads directly to the grid. So, but what you can also do is do an island system. So not only backup off-grid, you can even go to an backup off-grid island system, which means the PV inverter is now not connected to this net grid parallel, but it is connected on the AC out of the system. But also in this connection, the PV first ensures that all the loads are covered. And the battery system waits until all the loads are covered. And only if energy would go into the grid, the battery starts charging. So this main function always stays the same. No matter how you connected the system, this function will always stay the same. First, all the loads are covered, and if energy would go into the grid, the battery starts charging. But if you now have a grid failure, a system again stays active, it is able to. So you will have a grid on the AC out, you will have a voltage, you will have a frequency. So that also means this inverter can connect to a grid. So it will stay active, it will supply the loads, and it will also charge the batteries. But please always be aware of some maximum values which are important here. So this is also part of our technical data sheet, so that you can see which system is able to apply which PV inverter on the AC outside. So please do not over stress a system with a too powerful PV inverter on this connection. So for example, on a one-phase system, the maximum connection here is 3 kilowatts. So really be aware of that. But if you have a bigger PV, you can also just combine all the functions. So you have here a bigger PV plant and here a smaller, which is able to run also during backup. But also in this connection, in this schematic, the standard function stays the same. So first, the system waits until all the loads are covered, and if energy would go into the grid, the battery starts charging. And if energy would come from the grid, it starts discharging. So, but now what we also need to talk about is we cannot ensure 100% off-grid system in that case. Because, for example, if the grid fails at midnight and the battery is already empty at 4 o'clock, so when AM. So when the battery is empty, you will not have a voltage on the AC out. So that also means the PV inverter will have no grid or no voltage that he can synchronize on and also switch on. So what we have available here is the so-called DC connection again, DC coupling of the PV modules, because this charger starts as soon they get voltage from the PV panels. And then also during the morning hours, they will charge up the batteries to a certain point. And as soon as they have reached this point, the AC out is already powered, and you have a so-called black start capability, so that the system starts without any grid, only from PV alone. But also in this case, if the grid is available, the standard function stays the same. So first, the PV covers all the loads, and only if energy would go into the grid, it will charge the batteries. it's a different story when you have a grid loss or a grid disconnection. Yeah, but it's just that you are aware of that. So that means with this option, you have this black start availability. So that means you can just combine all the functions together. So we have here DC coupled PV, we have AC coupled on the island connection, on the AC out connection, and we have a bigger AC coupled PV just parallel to the grid. But what you can also maybe do is just a connection here that the whole house is connected on the AC out. So this is also a thing which is done, yeah, quite often. So if you just want to show, okay, all the residential site or whatever should run or should continue to run, you can install it like that. But please always be aware of the maximum values inside the datasheet. For example, the transfer current from AC in to AC out per phase on a GreenRock home system is 32 amps. So please always be aware of the 32 amps transfer current. That's also the name inside the technical datasheet, transfer current. Okay, but to maybe lighten up the things again, this is the standard function. This is the standard installation. This will always stay the same like it is here. You can see it here, and will ensure that the battery is charged and discharged. So any questions to the installation? I don't see any of them right now. Please just write them in later and we will go back to them. Yeah, mounting of the system, I think I already spoke most of the things about that. Shipping of a system is done in the Euro pallets form, so standardized pallets everywhere in the world. It's not in hazardous shipping, it's in standard shipment. So it's you will get it with a standard transport company, which does not need any special things. So it's a standard shipment because it's so safe and cannot happen anything with the battery. Good. Also, when you then move a stack itself, please always ensure that you do not tilt it too far. So the value right now is 45 degrees maximum for 1 hour. So please ensure that when you transport and stack like this, so with an additional tool with some just a metal part where you have some tires connected, and then you can just roll the stack to your preferred installation point. Please never let the stack completely flip to the side. It always needs to be really straight. Okay, so if you use a GreenRock home system, you always get also this power box, so also called connection box. We will just recommend it, transfer it via muscle with 2 persons. Please always be aware of the cabling inside. It's already pre-configured, pre-wired from our site. Everything pre-configured, and that you can only install, plug everything together on the installation side, switch the power on, and everything is good. Good, so the assembly itself, our GreenRock home system is really modular. You can place the stack more or less however you would like. The important thing is just that one connection box is placed always on 2 stacks. So for example, this yellow block should display a connection box, so with the battery inverter inside, and the green blocks should display an stack, so a battery stack. So these are 2 battery stacks, 1 connection box. So this is a 5 kWh 1-phase system. Here are the different configurations which are available, and the thing why we have this part is that if you order the battery housing, the battery covers, which is an optional article, so if you order them, you get the gray covers on the side according to these examples. So for example, when you have an 12.5 kWh system and you order this optional battery housing, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gray covers for the outside. So if you need more covers, please order them separately. Goes same for the 3-phase system. you just see here that you then have 2 connection boxes, not only one. So you then have 4 stacks where 2 connection boxes are placed on top. So maybe to see it a bit better, inside here, you just place the 2 stacks on the bottom. Then you add some covers here, some green covers on the bottom and on the middle if you want. So the bottom is also an optional article. The middle is always included, and also the top. So you just place them on top, and then you can connect everything together, and you then can add the additional gray housing covers. 3-phase system can look like this. So you have the first connection box on the left, the second box on the right, or you can place them behind each other, or you can also make an L form. So however you would like to. It's just important that the second box is placed on the right side of the main box, or behind. And also really important for installation, please add a small tilt protection, for example, like a small screw. Just use the metal frame on the back side, or use a longer screw to ensure that the system is holding on the wall. All right, so that's how a complete install system more or less looks like. So you have placed the stacks, we have added the covers, we have added the connection box, and we are ready for the electrical installation. Any questions so far on the mechanical part? I don't see them. Please, as on the other topics, add them later if you would like to. Good, so now we start with the internal wiring. Please, before installing anything, just a short reminder for your own safety, check that all of the cables and be sure that all components are still in off mode and no voltage is measurable on any wire. Please really be aware of that. And also please open all the breakers, all the fuses to ensure the maximum safety for you. So this slides we go through now are only need to be done on a 3-phase system. All 1-phase cabling is already fully done, and so only needs to be done on the 3-phase systems. I will just directly jump to the pictures to do an easier explanation. So each battery inverter has a plus and a minus battery connection, and this cable needs to be connected to the main box. So inside the main box, we here have this combiner board where all the battery stacks are connected and where all the inverters needs to be connected to. This is also how it looks like inside a combiner box. So when you don't install our GreenRock home system, but use a different inverter or use your own Victron inverter, that's also possible. It just looks like that. So you have here the battery inverter connections. You have here the battery connections. You have DC fuses, or let's say 20 amp fuses on the plus side of each stack. And you also here have a small 50 volt DC output, which is fused with 1 amp at 48 volts. But here on the output, on the connection, you have 50 volts DC also available for some, for example, for color control, if you're used to Victron components or to any other accessoire which can be powered with this level. Then we have blue cables, which are communication cables inside the system for the internal inverter communication. Please just connect the blue cables to the other blue cables. I think it's really just easy like that, just the blue to blue. Then we have a bit more important connections is the AC in and AC out cabling, because also that needs to be done from the third and second and the third inverter to the main box again. So here is the AC cabling connection point, and you just have to add the L2 phase and neutral, then the L3 phase in and neutral, and here on the right side we have the AC out L2, L3, then the neutral wires and the grounding wires. So then we're already done with the combination of 2 boxes. Then we can already wire the battery cables. So these are just pushed through the housing inside the stack. So you can just connect plus and minus. Please, before connecting, the fuses must be opened. So just remove the fuses from the holder so that you are ensured that the voltage is not directly available on the board. On a GreenRock home system, you also have a temperature sensor connected to one of the battery wires. Just place it anywhere close to the battery. This is only measuring the ambient temperature and not has to measure a special connection point. So this is again how this combiner board looks like. Here we have a bit better displayed the fuse holders. So the scaling, or it's part it starts with 1, 2, 3. You can see it's like an zigzag form. And when you, for example, have a 10 kilowatt hour system, which means 4 stacks, you will also get a system with 4 fuse holders and fuses. So on the AC in, please just place the cables on the top. So these are really some toolless AC connections. Please be aware, if you have a 3-phase system, that you need the correct rotation. So the correct rotation of each phases to the other. And in this case, we just talk about a rotation field to the right. So really important if you have a 3-phase system. Also the AC out, a 3-phase GreenRock system is providing an phase rotation to the right direction. So to the, I have to show it in a different way inside the camera. So in a GreenRock home system, you also have an additional energy meter, which we talked about. It's part of the delivery, part of the shipment. It's pre-configured. It's an direct measuring energy meter. So it has screw connections. If you have higher currents than 65 amps, you can also order a different option of this energy meter. So which means where you can use current ratio transformers. If you want to use such thing, please already tell this when you order a system, because that's an option, and then this standard energy meter will be exchanged by an energy meter which can handle also current ratio transformers. So if you remember the schematic from a few slides before, this is the installation point of an energy meter. Really important that you use this point, and also really important that you use the correct measuring direction. So you see here, this means pin 1 of the energy meter is used coming from the grid, and pin 4 is used for going to the loads to the system or wherever. This is how the schematic of the energy meter looks like. You here have the connection ports 8 and 9, and these ports needs to be connected via a network cable, for example, so just 2 wires, to the GreenRock EMS. On the EMS, you have a connection called the bus 1. So this is the RS485 connection point. Just place pin A of bus 1 to pin 8 and pin 2 of bus 1 to pin 9 on the energy meter. And please also place, it's really just a wire. So just an easy wire, a small wire, which you need to make from pin 7 to pin 9. So this is more or less just a jumper. But if this jumper is realized, inside the energy meter, a 120 ohm resistor is active, which is the end terminal for the RS485 connection. So this is, you don't need a resistor with you. You only need a short, small wire. Maybe just use one of the network cable, which you maybe have. So then we have a few more cables which are colored in green. So these green cables are really network devices which needs to be connected to a GreenRock router, which is part also of the delivery of the shipment. So please just place all the green wires, the green connections into this yellow connectors here. This is the LAN connection of a router. And on the blue connection, you can connect the customer network. This ensures that the system is also connected to the internet. So blue connection point is customer connection, and all the yellow and orange is one are used for the GreenRock internal communication, and you can also add, for example, your laptop here to have access to the system. The router needs to be connected to a free plug. Please be aware of that. The router is also pre-configured. You don't need to change anything. It also has an Wi-Fi option available. The name of the Wi-Fi is always My GreenRock, and the key for the Wi-Fi is placed on the backside of the router. Yeah, any questions to the electrical installation so far? Don't think so, because then we would just start right away with commissioning. So before starting up a system, as usually, please always take part or be aware that you have to check all the wires, check all the voltages. What you can also do is check each stack voltage, which is recommended. So here on the minus pole, all of these connectors, all of these plugs are connected to the other. And when you use your second pole of your measurement tool, of your voltmeter, you can already measure the battery voltage. And here you have to ensure that the battery voltage do not differ more than 2.5 volts. So please just use here the negative one part of your voltmeter, and on the bottom of the fuse holder of each connection point, you can use the second wire so that you see the correct battery voltage. Yeah, sure. Also, please always check the AC in connections, that you have an phase rotation to the right available on the AC clamps. As soon as this is done, you can replace the fuse holders. So here in silver, these are the holders itself. And here in black, there is the fuse placed inside. And you can just, push it in, then you have it fused. And if you just pull it out, it's unfused, if this is an English word. Good, so all the fuses are already placed, and as soon as this is done, the GreenRock EMS is already powered up. So the internal startup is done, and then you have different options to connect to the EMS. So there is no display available. It's only visualized. We're in web interface. You can access it via a fixed IP address or a static IP address, or via an internet line. So in live.mygreenrock.eu. You can also have access directly to your system if it has a connection to the internet. If you connect via live.mygreenrock.eu, you only have to fill in the serial number and the unlock key of the GreenRock EMS. This unlock key and the serial number is placed on the device itself, so it's always part of the product. So there you can find a serial number and an unlock key. The unlock key usually is number and small letters. So as soon as you connect then to the web interface, it looks like this. So in one view, which is also called like that. So in one view, you usually see all the stuff which is going on. On the left bottom, you have grid information. On the bottom middle, you have battery information. On the left top, you have PV, solar power information. And on top middle, you see the load information. I just see a question. That's good. 12 fuses and 6 positive entries. I would just jump back to the foil to explain it a bit better. These on the bottom you have the battery connections, and the battery connections are up to 12. And on top you have 6 positive entries for the battery inverters. So this 6, you can see here, are not for the batteries, they are for the battery inverters. And on the bottom you have the battery connections. So also the Combinerbox has the same board inside. 6 plus connections for the inverter, battery inverter, and 12 connections for the stacks here on the bottom. I hope that explains the question. So we just continue. As soon as we are connected to the web interface, great, thank you. As soon as we are connected to the web interface, we can switch on the system. This is done via the inverter. So this is the Victron Multiplus 2 inverter. It has a power switch on the right bottom here available. You just push it that it is placed on position 1. So this is really important because it's a 3-case switch. You can use 0, 1, or 2. 2 would be an only charge command, so the battery is not allowed to be discharged. So we need, or you need to place it on position number 1, so that the 1 is pushed inside. And as soon as this is done, you can check if you have a grid energy meter connection. So this is here visualized. As soon as it's green, that means you have a connection to the energy meter, and as soon as the battery storage is green, you have a connection to the battery inverter. And sorry for the German words here. In your case, also an English EMS is available, for example, so you also get all these names here displayed in English words and not in German. So here again the links. This is for the live view, so to also access to the web interface via the internet, to your direct to your system. And here you have the My Portal. This is a connection to the historical data of the system. So you have 2 accesses. This is an visualization live right now, which is going on right now. So a live view, and this is a portal visualization. So after you have done the commissioning, you can add the rest of the cover plates just as you would like to or wish to. So in all systems, we have added a so-called frequently asked question sheet. So if you're installing a system, you can just go through this list to see maybe the question you have. And also the answers are part of the list. So maybe just do a check and a short summary for the startup procedure. First, please always check all connections, switch on AC in, be aware of the correct rotation field, mount battery fuses, start the EMS visualization, switch on the inverter, connect AC out if you have something available there, mount the remaining cover plates, and sign in the system to the portal. So you have access to your own account on the portal. And also if you have an end customer, he has also his own account for the portal. And you can add a lot of more customer systems so that you have all them in your list, but the end customer can only integrate his own system. After starting up the system, please also fill out the commissioning or the installation protocol. Please also not train him, but give him a short training. So that should be the word here. This protocol, when you have filled it out, needs to be sent to sales@bluesky-energy.eu. Then after an internal approval of the system, you will have the 10 years warranty available. Only from this time on. So that's really important. Only if you do this installation protocol, you will get the 10-year warranty. I just did a question, very, very important question. Thank you very much. Yes, all the presentations, or this one presentation which you've seen here, will be sent to you via PDF, hopefully right after the webinar, or let's say in the next hours. So you will receive this presentation in a PDF form. Really, thank you for the question, for the reminder. Totally forgot that to tell you at the beginning. Good. Please do not rework a GreenRock home system, because then you will lose warranty and the CE mark. And if you do the first installation of a system, I totally understand that you maybe need some support via telephone or whatever, but please tell us early enough. So like 3 to 4 days would be great, that you just send us an information on sales@BlueSky, or contact your sales contact person, that we set up a meeting together, short, or set up a scheduled time, and that an engineer is available from our side for you when you do the installation. Good. A few more words to the GreenRock EMS. It can also be used as a standalone. So you can power it with a 24-volt system and already, for example, add PV inverters and buy the GreenRock system with batteries way later if needed. So we already spoke about the GreenRock Router. We don't need that anymore. That's just a schematic how you can connect to the web interface. So you can use the GreenRock router, you can use the customer router, or you can also just use the internet. So we spoke about the EMS. Here you have a few more information how this live.mygreenrock.eu connection looks like. So when you can also just press it in right now inside your browser, your internet browser. You can fill in a serial number and unlock key if you have one of your system, and then you can get to the live view. You can even switch to different views inside the off view, inside the live view. Also go to options where you can change some battery settings. How much should the battery save for grid failures and such stuff, or how fast should the heating elements should react and such things. So this can also be done, or only be done, inside the settings menu. So this is the one view. You have different options, different views. Here on the right bottom, you have the setting menu. When you press here, you get to this menu. So the second connection can be the portal, so which is available with mygreenrock.eu. You can also just use a demo access, so an sample access with demo at bluesky-energy.eu and with the password demo with a capital letter D. But you can also already create your own account. So here press Zugang erstellen or create account in your language. And then when you create your account, you can choose if you are a system partner, so like I think you are, or if you are an end customer. And as a system partner, you can add a lot of systems into your account. And as an end customer, you can only add one. Okay, these are just some different views inside the portal. I would just recommend look through them on your own, learn it on your own. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. So really have a lot of different options to see historical data available, or to see how much the system has done to each time. So here just a few functionality or a reminder. Also PV inverters can be added into the system. These are just a few of them, so that you visualize PV inverters inside of the GreenRock system. Also display them or view them inside the historical data. Yeah, and here just a few installations examples, some references. You can also download a few of them from our partner portal. So you can also just download one sheet and print it, and you can bring it with your customer. For example, this is a really big installation about an hour drive from us, where a DC coupling is used. So PV DC coupling and AC coupling is combined in one system. You see here a lot of PV. He added a lot more PV on the backside of this building, and he has about 90 kilowatt hours in capacity already. So really big system with above 60 kilowatt hours on PV available. So really great system. Yeah, and here I have two YouTube links. So we also have a BlueSky YouTube channel. Please search for us. You probably also find this webinar from today on the channel. And what we can also find on the channel is this YouTube video where we shot a battery. So we killed it, and our CEO, Mr. Helmut Meyer, took the electrolyte which came out of the stack and tried it like I do here, just to view how safe the electrolyte really is. I mean, he would not recommend it to do it. It just tastes so salty, but just to you can see it how it performs with a bullet in the eye. I mean, it will not perform good anymore, but it just happens nothing. So it's still safe. I mean, it does not work like it does before, but nothing additional happens. Good. So any questions from your side? I see one question: what can we expect from BlueSky for being GreenRock certified partner? How do we receive the partner certificate after this presentation? And what is included in this certification program? So these steps, I would really recommend to talk with your sales contact person. If you're not sure who these are or who this is, please just send an email to sales@bluesky-energy.eu or do an inquiry directly on our homepage. So just go to bluesky-energy.eu and just do an inquiry and ask for an offer on our website, because then the responsible person will directly get your contact details or what you filled in inside the email on the request, and then he can get in touch with you. So do you support a certified partner in the system size dimensioning? Roughly. I mean, we cannot do detailed dimensioning, but we can help you dimensioning a system, yes. For example, if you name us energy needed for 1 year, this is the size of the PV, we usually can recommend a good battery capacity size. So please just get in touch with us, in contact with us so that we can help with the needed things. So, and you will also find some more information in the certification or so in the partner document. I would name it like that. But here, really would recommend get in contact with our sales responsible, and then we can finish all the other stuff. If you have more technical questions, please ask them directly. If not, really thank you for being part of this first GreenRock webinar. I hope there were some interesting informations. Please just also send us some helpful feedback or constructive feedback wherever you have contacts to. Would like or looking forward to hear somebody of you when you do an installation and need some support or however. So looking forward to that. Please stay safe, stay healthy in this special time of our generation. All the best for your future, and yeah, have a good and great day. Thank you for joining, and bye.